Hi, welcome to my channel. My name is Carol Gishuhi and I'm a fashion designer. Today, I would like to share my story and why I started an impact-oriented business. For those who don't know, I run a socially conscious fashion brand called Patiti Asili. So feel free to grab a cup of coffee or a glass of juice and let's talk. I'm working on something very interesting for a modern, sophisticated woman who desires originality. So I started doing business while in uni, in school. That's like 6 years ago. Then I had a clothing line that I called Karonkara Designs. I call it Karonkara because I worked a lot with Ankara fabric to create African wear. And my name is Caro, so I called it Karonkara Designs. Shout out to my friends from uni who used to model my pieces. Well, in campus, I started off well with ready markets, fellow students, except that the profit margin was very low. I mean, you don't expect much from students, but I enjoyed because that's the only opportunity I had to gain experience, grow my skills. There was room to make mistakes. So yes, and I didn't have it so easy, and I won't go into the details for now, but the things that I went through were preparing me for what was coming after uni, which I'll be sharing in a bit. So after uni, I graduated. But because what I studied in uni is not what I wanted to practice, I had to enroll for a short course in design and fashion because that is what I love, that is my passion. I went to fashion school for a short course and for a few months where I met my mentor. Shout out to Kamami Bliss. She is she's a well of knowledge. I acquired a lot from her. So after fashion school, after the short course, I talked to my mom and I asked for a loan for my mom. Of course, didn't come easy. Like any normal parent, I was going against her wish. She wanted me to get a regular job with a secure salary and grow in the corporate ladder where I had chosen the entrepreneurial journey for myself. So we disagreed a lot. But what happened is that she saw the determination, she saw the zeal. Plus, I had begun doing business while in school and I was making some money, even though it was not much. But, I just told her to have faith in me. I convinced her to, just help push forward my business. And eventually, half-heartedly, she agreed to lend me some money. And I went ahead and set up a workshop in town, in Nairobi CBD. So I was so excited. I knew now I am ready to build my empire. But shock on me, I went there and struggled. So in town, of course, I was not ready. I was very naive, fresh from school, very naive. One, having to deal with city council. Two, I had not really established a good market to break even. I was not making enough profit. So I went there and struggled. Also, I hired a tailor to work alongside me. So I was really under so much financial pressure. So what happened? Because I maintained my contacts, my clients from school, so they would still come for custom orders. And again, my pricing was not I was not able to price my products properly. So I was not able to break even. And again, I began to make losses. So what happened? Because, I knew I had put myself a burden of responsibility that I was not yet ready for. So a friend of mine, sort of a family friend and a big sister, shout out to her. Her name is Shiko. She's also in the seminar. So she does a lot of vintage fashion accessories. So once in a while, she would pop into my workshop to see how I'm doing. And I would share with her the struggle that I was going through then. So she told me, hey, from experience, because she had gone ahead, she told me running a shop in town is not easy, especially for you who's just starting. You have not established a good market yet. Why don't you take some time, grow your skill to upscale to attract a better market, close down the workshop, because she saw the frustration and the struggles. So it is at that moment that I knew I was not going to make it. I had failed, and I had to, thought about everything she told me, and it made a lot of sense. And I decided to close down. After a while, I decided to close down the workshop, and I took everything, the machines, the fabric, everything that I had bought, the display. So I brought them home. And I remember going home and really crying because I felt like such a failure. I was so frustrated. It didn't work. I had so much faith in it, and then it failed. So it was really frustrating. And then also my mom, I knew she was going to lose faith in my business. She'll be so disappointed, and I know now I would have no more support. But to my surprise, she's actually the one who encouraged me. She encouraged me to not give up, to keep going. But it was so frustrating. It was a very dark moment in my life because I knew from the onset that is what I wanted to do. And I've always loved creating. I've always loved doing design. So now when it didn't work, when I made losses and I had to go back home, it was very frustrating, but I had to, push on, I had to keep going. So, but of course, at that point, the best thing to do would look for a job because I needed to survive in Nairobi. And, business was not bringing enough money. So, of course, I began to look for a job because I needed to survive, I needed money, and adulting was catching up. So, but in the process of looking for a job, I began to do tons of research to understand my ideal market, understand the industry, my industry, which is very dynamic, and also to broaden my perspective and know why I was not making it. Again, I began, of course, I'm majorly self-taught, so I used a lot of YouTube tutorials. Then I began now to experiment with other materials. Remember, I was using Ankara fabric, and then I had a clothing line. So I began to experiment with other stuff because I love creating. The idea of visualizing something and bring it come to life, having an idea in your head and seeing something tangible. I mean, it brings so much joy and satisfaction, and that is what I enjoy doing. So I started a jewelry line, but I started experimenting with materials. I could go to town, buy materials, beads. I remember experimenting with fabric embroidered jewelry. I tried to make fabric embroidered jewelry, and I remember sharing a piece of earring. I don't know if my mentor remembers. I shared a pair of earring that had created fabric embroidered. So I think she was not very impressed because the feedback that I got is not what I anticipated, which is okay because it was not very functional. Sometimes you can be creative, but what you create is not, it's not for display only. It's supposed to add value to your client, it's supposed to be functional. So, but I continued to experiment with other materials, and sometimes I would, things will not come together. I would try, I would create things and then they would fall apart, and it was so frustrating trying to, because I wanted something original, something that is so me. So but I mean, no, I'm grateful because that is how you gain mastery, by sometimes trial and error, trying and things breaking, falling apart, not coming together. Because when you have mastery, then you can transfer the skills, to people who will work with you. So eventually I settled on artificial clay jewelry. I began to create artificial clay jewelry, and because it was a new product and I was still learning, I sold them to my friends, and people around me, family, friends. So people loved them because they were different. Except that after a while, some of them would call to say, hey, the pair of jewelry that you sold, the pair of earring that you sold me is beginning to crack, is falling apart. You can imagine, after investing in your time, your passion, your creativity, that's not the kind of feedback you want to hear from your clients. So it was very frustrating, but I was still learning. So fast forward, later on, I joined my brother in his business, now outside fashion, and I began to learn other stuff. I started to sell other things because I've always enjoyed doing business. So, and that's how I was able to mobilize resources to grow my business now in fashion, because that's where my heart was. That's where my heart has always been. So I continue to build, and honing my craft and developing myself and gaining mastery. So, but after a while, it reached a place where I began to ask myself some hard questions. I asked myself, okay, why am I in business? Why do I want to prosper in business? Or rather, why am I in this thing? Am I in it for the right reason? I just didn't want to do something at random. I wanted to understand, why am I attempting to do business in the first place? And I realized that my reasons were very shallow, because I was building around a self-centered ambition. It was all about me. The things that we all aspire to have, the good life, the expensive homes, expensive cars, and nothing inherently wrong with that, except that when you're talking sustainability, there has to be a cause bigger than yourself, that goes beyond yourself. So I wanted something more meaningful. I wanted something that has purpose to it, I wanted to make a difference, to be a person of impact. And that's how Fatiti Asili came about. So I knew I needed to connect with my clients in a more meaningful way, that they can become part of a great cause in bringing positive social change. And so my client is a conscious shopper. And so I created a product that connects, that identifies with their value systems, who they are as a person and what they stand for. The authenticity of my vision has been tested a number of times, but what has been driving me is the purpose behind what I do and the people connected to the vision. And now someone might ask me, why women? Why did you decide that now you want to focus on developing or improving the livelihoods of that community, that marginalized community? And I'll tell you why. It's not just because I'm a woman. Have you ever wondered how, remember some of single mothers, that a woman could have like 5 children, no money, but somehow finds a way around that situation and manages to, raise the kids, take them to school, they end up becoming great people in the society all by themselves, because women are powerful. And I believe that they have the ability to wield the resilience and the power that is needed to thrive in a tough terrain. Because I believe Africa at this phase, and I say this because my fashion brand, Fatiti Asili, is about telling the African story. And this is my African story, that Africa at this phase of its development demands resilience for anyone wanting to drive progress and bring transformation. And women through the years have demonstrated the resilience that is needed to thrive in a tough terrain, and to overcome the obstacles that hinder development in such what we call a third world continent. So that's why my heart goes out to those that have been trapped in oppressive environments, because I believe in their potential. And my mission is to not only empower them financially, but also instill in them a sense of self-discovery, that they too can become people of impact in their respective communities. And that is what I live for, to see positive social change. That's it for today. Thank you for watching. Check out my website, carolgishoi.org. I'll leave the link in the description box, where I talk about sustainable business innovation in Africa.